The night my stepmother called, drunk and laughing, saying she'd burned all of my late mother's things, I froze. She sent me pictures of ashes with laughing emojis. I told my dad. 15 minutes later, he was being airlifted to the EQ for a heart attack. Last week, Stephanie Conway was served divorce papers and escorted out by deputies for destruction of sentimental property and emotional endangerment. Stephanie had moved in 6 months after Mom's funeral. All smiles and casseroles. I wanted to believe she cared, but I caught her going through Mom's jewelry alone in the attic. When I asked why, she snapped, "You wouldn't understand." Dad brushed it off. Grief, he said. But something twisted in her eyes that day. I told Tara, my cousin, who just frowned and said, "Watch her." I started writing everything down. 3 weeks later, Stephanie hosted a dinner, Dad's favorite meal. Candlelit, almost romantic. She wore Mom's old scarf. I nearly lost it. I pulled her aside and asked her to take it off. She smirked and said, "Why, he seems to like it." I stormed out. Dad later apologized for her, blaming wine and loneliness, but my stomach churned. That wasn't grief, it was something else, something cruel. I bought a voice recorder that night. Dad's will disappeared from his safe. Stephanie claimed he'd moved it. I didn't buy it. Tara helped me search the house when they were out. We found nothing, Stephanie later said. Funny how things vanish when you don't appreciate them. That night, I emailed Dad's lawyer. The subplot deepened when I overheard Stephanie whispering about changing things before it's too late. I couldn't sleep. Was she planning to take everything? Or worse? Stephanie began isolating Dad, changing his phone passcode, redirecting his mail. I asked if he'd noticed. He just looked tired. "She's helping," he said. Tara called it elder abuse. I recorded Stephanie yelling when she thought no one was around, things about shutting Riley up and getting what's mine. I forwarded the file to Dad's lawyer anonymously. Meanwhile, Dad's health declined. The subplot grew desperate. He needed protection, and I needed proof. Was I already too late? I scheduled a wellness check behind Stephanie's back. When the officer came, she played the grieving wife flawlessly. Dad barely spoke. The cop left unconvinced, but did nothing. Tara warned, "She's smart. You need more." The subplot cracked wider when I found Dad crying in the garage, staring at Mom's photo. He whispered, "She scares me sometimes." My heart clenched. I emailed the recordings again, this time with timestamps, but still no legal action. Stephanie accidentally locked Dad outside during a storm. He slipped on the porch, sprained his wrist. She laughed it off. "He's clumsy." But I saw her smug glance. I begged Dad to leave her. He shook his head. "Too tired," he said. I called Adult Protective Services. The subplot deepened again. Dad's bank showed recent withdrawals he didn't remember. Tara warned, she'd draining him. I started collecting everything: bank records, voice notes, photos. I was building a case. I sent my full report to a family lawyer. She said it was compelling but warned, "You'll need more than suspicion." The subplot grew urgent. Dad was missing appointments, confused more often. Stephanie blamed age. I watched her accidentally give him twice his medication dose. Tara caught it on video. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just jealousy, it was calculated, dangerous. I filed for emergency guardianship. The countdown had begun. She wouldn't go quietly. The courtroom smelled like old wood and tension. Stephanie sat across from me, dressed like a grieving widow. Crocodile tears ready. I handed the judge a folder: recordings, bank slips, photos. She watched me, jaw tight. Dad wasn't present. He was in the hospital after another accident. My voice trembled as I testified. Tara squeezed my hand. The judge didn't smile. "We'll reconvene after review." I'd drawn blood, but the war wasn't over. I couldn't finish the whole story in the short. The full story is on my channel, Unlinkable.